This is the Solid Signal podcast for the week of February 19th, 2024. And this week we're talking about fixed wireless internet. Fixed wireless internet specifically with some of the products that we offer at Solid Signal from RevGen Networks. Let me start by defining the term fixed wireless internet because it may be one that, even though it's been around for a while, that you haven't heard. Fixed wireless internet basically means using a cell service to get you home internet or business internet. In other words, internet that stays in one place. Of course, the irony of this is that you can use the same hardware to give you internet service in your RV, which most definitely does not stay in the same place. But we still call it fixed wireless because it's essentially designed for buildings as opposed to just phones. So how does this happen? Well, it's really not incredibly hard to imagine. What you do is you take the same kind of technology that you find in a cell phone and you marry it with the same kind of technology that you find in a router. These are technologies, both of them have been around for decades, so combining them only makes sense. Doing this gives you a device that gives you the ability to have wired and wireless internet, in other words, Wi-Fi, no matter where you are, as long as you have a good cell signal. Now, I like this idea because I think that this is where we are eventually moving. I think eventually we will all kind of get tired of paying double, paying once for cell service and once for fiber-based internet. And we will move to solutions like this. And you can already find there are solutions like this. Like T-Mobile has an excellent one where you can kind of pair it along with your existing cell service and you save a little bit of money and you get one device, very easy to install, that gives you home Wi-Fi everywhere. Sounds great, I will say. But I really want to talk more about the device from RevGen Networks because it's more than just Wi-Fi and it's more than just home. You can use it that way, but there's a lot more flexibility. So question, who are RevGen Networks? If you Google RevGen, you're going to find a bunch of different companies. So you want to look for RevGen Networks. But this is the company that originally we tended to call, at Signal Group, we tended to call them GOT-W3 because that was the name of the product that they were selling. And this was a big, I cannot underestimate how big this is. This was a big hit for us during the lockdown time when people all of a sudden found that they needed better internet than they could get at home and nobody was doing anything. You couldn't get a truck out to add better fiber and everyone was using it. So, I mean, home internet was really clogged. So you put in something like a cellular router and all of a sudden you've got a much better solution that lets everybody use the internet at the same time. Of course, that was 4 years ago and technology does not stay still, and neither do the folks at RevGen Networks. I've reviewed a couple of their other products as the years have gone on, and you can find those reviews on the Solid Signal blog and here also on our Solid Signal YouTube channel. The latest one is called the IQMC, and I think IQMC stands for Intelligent Multi-Carrier, but I'm not 100% sure, and somebody at RevGen will probably clarify that for me when they hear this podcast. So what is the IQMC idea? And the idea is that you may get good service from one carrier or you may get good service from another, and it may change. It may change because, one carrier's towers may get a little more congested as time goes on, or you may just get up and move, like, for example, in your RV. And so the cool thing would be to have a router that doesn't just get cell service from one place, it gets cell service from all of the major carriers at the same time. That's what this does. They call it eSIM technology, and eSIM really refers to the fact that it's there's stuff in the device which allows it to switch from carrier to carrier to carrier. And in other cases, we use eSIM in a different way, but that's not really the subject of this week's podcast. So let's just say you live in an area where you have good service. Well, you probably live in an area that has good service because there are a lot of people there. And so Sometimes more people are going to be using Verizon. Some people are going to be using AT&T. Occasionally, you'll find that T-Mobile is the one that gives you the best service. Well, this router will intelligently switch to try to get you the best service all the time. Now, just imagine, for example, you're doing it in your RV or on your boat. So you're actually moving. And so the service is going to change drastically depending on where you are. You don't want to have three plans that you have to switch between. You don't want to have to worry about it. And that's where this technology really comes in. This is a technology that RevGen started doing with their last generation that I tested, and there's YouTube on it. The ERLTE and the SimTel device both use this technology to give you the best possible cell signal. But when you take it all the way up to the IQMC series, what you get is not only more of an industrial strength device that gives you more wired options and better Wi-Fi, but you get something that's designed for professional use as well as personal use. That's important too. And it's important to businesses because, let's be honest, you cannot be out of communication with your customers. If you have no internet in your office, you may as well just shut down. That's the fact of 2024. I think that we all know it. If you own a business, you know it, because the internet is not just where you watch cat videos. It's where you process your credit cards. Your telephone probably runs on it. It's where all of your emails go through. And just having a source of internet in your business is mandatory. You cannot get away without it. And a device like the IQMC series from RevGen is going to help you get peace of mind because internet does go down. Here's a scary thought that honestly I try not to think about. All of the internet infrastructure in any particular building, whether it's your home or your office or whatever, is on a strand of fiber that's a little bit thicker than a human hair and just about as delicate, which means a badly placed shovel or somebody trying to dig a hole or a chipmunk or what have you can very easily cut you off from the entire world by cutting through that little tiny strand of fiber. It's terrifying if you think about it, and I try not to think about it. But then again, I don't run the IT department of a business, so I don't have to. So if I did, though, I'd be really worried that I was going to lose my internet because somebody was going to do something dumb with a strand of fiber. This is peace of mind. You set this up as what's called a failover device, and this is one of the many failover devices that we offer at Solid Signal. So what happens is you use either a firewall appliance or you manually can switch from one to the other so that if one internet goes down, you automatically switch to the other internet, and maybe it's a little slower, maybe it's not quite as good, but it doesn't matter because you're still online. That's the most important thing to remember, is you're paying for real peace of mind, and it's not even that expensive to do. I'm pretty impressed by the data plans that you can get from RevGen because they're really not just a hardware maker. They're also offering the service themselves. And the data plans you can get all the way up from just a small kind of emergency plan, which will give you a couple of gigabytes, all the way up to unlimited, are very reasonably priced. They're priced about the same as other business internet. They're probably a little bit more than your traditional home internet because home internet is a lot less expensive and it tends to also be a little less reliable, but that's another whole story. But it's not that much. It really isn't that much. And it's not just peace of mind, but it's also giving you a robust backbone that will not fail in the same way that other services will fail. Because they will. This is wintertime, and that means that for a lot of the country, a lot of folks are suffering through snowstorms and closed roads and down power poles, and all of those things can affect internet service. But they tend not to affect cellular service, at least in the short term, because cell towers have battery backups, and there's a lot of priority in getting cell service back up when there's power failure. That priority might not be there as far as getting cell service back into your industrial park. So cellular tends to be a much more reliable option during the winter. And this is the kind of thing you have to think about if you're putting in a solution like the RevGen IQMC. It's really neat. And as I said, I think eventually, I think fixed wireless is going to be the only way that most of us get our internet, which is, you know, it's going to probably be several years because there's so much fiber out there and it's so cheap to connect to it. But when you look at some other countries, the countries that never had a fiber or copper backbone, they're expanding very quickly into fixed wireless internet and into cell phones and never putting in a wired backbone. And while it seems strange that, for example, a country like Uganda would have more advanced network infrastructure than a country like the United States, it's really just a matter of time before the United States really not only meets but surpasses what other countries are doing when it comes to internet. You don't have to wait, however. You can get fixed wireless internet using RevGen network devices now. You can get the speeds that you want because we're talking about 5G here, not just, 3G, 4G, or whatever is available. This is real honest 5G, and that means speeds about probably as fast as your regular business internet. You can get the price that you want, you can get the devices you want, and more importantly, you can get the support you want, all from one place. And that's the kind of cool thing. And yes, this is the Solid Signal podcast, so I'm going to tell you exactly where you can get stuff. If you're interested in upgrading your internet, whether it's for your RV, for your home, for your business, using fixed wireless technology, you want to call the folks at Signal Connect. This is full service, folks. This is really taking care of you the way that you deserve to be taken care of. Call Signal Connect at 888-233-7563 and we'll tell you all about the latest offerings from RevGen Networks and many of our other providers. We'll find you the solution that makes the most sense for you. We'll help you get it set up. We'll ship you something that is already activated and ready to plug into your network. We will handle making sure the billing is right, and if there's a tech support issue, we'll take care of that too. Full service, with a smile, I might add. Call the folks at Signal Connect at 888-233-7563 if you want to know more. Leave a comment on this video if you're interested. And as a matter of fact, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and leave a comment whether you like or don't like the idea of fixed wireless internet. Let's get the conversation started. As always, shop at Solid Signal for everything you need to live your best digital life. And one more time, call the folks at Signal Connect at 888-233-7563 to learn what fixed wireless is and what it can do for you. That's it for me for the Solid Signal podcast. I'll see you again next week.